First Sisters. My name is Claire and I'll be your host for today's event. July 31st is a very special anniversary in the history of Mother Seton and the Sisters of Charity. Today, one of the first sisters, Sister Sally Thompson, will be taking us back in time as she recounts her experience moving into the Stone Farmhouse you see behind me. In the second half of our presentation, we invite you to participate in our Q&A session. Please leave your questions in the comments below, and I will get to as many as I can that are relevant to today's topic. On that note, we will be going back into the year 1818, just 9 years after Mother Seton moved into the Stone Farmhouse.
Good day, Kat. Good day, Jane. Such exuberance. My goodness, I was just finished. I'm in between laundry. It's drying now. So I'm making some bread for Mother. Come. I'm trying to provide her with some sustenance and to cheer her up. Would you like to help me knead the bread?
Oh, yes, we'd love to help you.
Okay. I'm just checking to make sure that it's moist enough. It feels good. There you be. So, use the heel of your hand. You know how to do this.
Can you tell us a story? Oh, yes, the snow story, our favorite one.
The snow story. My goodness. I've told you that more times than I care to recount. Today is a very special day. I'd like to share with you my favorite story. It started July 31st, 1809. 9 years ago today. Remember the feeling you had when you first entered here? I felt that same joy. I, along with 6 other women, coming with Mother from Baltimore, were beginning the process of becoming Sisters of Charity of St. Joseph. That was truly the happiest day of my life. That's perfect. Combine the two. Knead them together. Lovely. Let's put it in the bowl. And Kat, cover it with a cloth. That's it. Please go over to the table. I'm quite parched. I need a drink. And I'll continue the story there. You may pass that to Jane.
Thank you.
And Kat, this one will be yours.
Thank you, sister.
You're welcome. There. Now, let's thank God for this precious gift before we imbibe. Dear Lord, thank you for this precious gift of water. Please help us to be able to quench our thirst, and please renew our souls. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, it's so refreshing. Where was I? Oh, July 31st, 1809. That is when Mother Seton's dream was coming a reality. Her hope was to be able to assist the poor, calm the afflicted, clothe the little innocents, and above all, to teach them to love God.
It seems that Mother wants to help the children in every way possible. I feel like she does that for all of us here at St. Joseph.
She does. That was her calling in life. That was the mission she set out to do. However, before we could get our roots in place, there was much we needed to do. My small group moved in, and the following day, the rest of the group came from Baltimore. So we had a lot of belongings that we needed to get into place. And while the second group was getting their items into place, we went into town to do the necessary purchases, such as chairs and dishes and utensils. Meanwhile, Mother was very busy putting our regular daily order into place, very much the same as we do today, starting with prayers at 5 a.m. You're familiar with that, aren't you, girls? Yes. There were 1,000 small tasks that we needed to do before we could think of opening a school. Mother knew exactly what needed to be done. She appointed the sisters to be in charge of the cooking and the cleaning and the sewing, cultivating our little garden out there, and it was so unruly. Everything was overgrown, the bushes, etc. So that needed to be all put into place.
What was your job, sister?
Mother appointed me to be the procuratrix. That's a tough word, isn't it? It's hard for me to get my tongue around it. I'm getting better at it, though. Mother knew that I was born and bred here, and I knew everyone in town and where to get whatever we needed. So, along with keeping the ledgers for those purchases, I also helped with the washing and the ironing and the cleaning and, of course, the baking of bread.
You do make the most delicious bread, sister.
Thank you, my dear. What we set out to do then and what we continue to do today has been the foundation for Mother's community. This is what she was hoping and striving to do.
Sister Sally, did you know that you always wanted to be a sister?
You're getting ahead of me, dear. But there was one event that I truly felt was the defining moment when I was a Sister of Charity. Soon after we settled into this house, Father came to bless this place. As we processed through the grounds, he sprinkled holy water all about, and at the conclusion of that ceremony, he placed us under the patronage of St. Joseph. That was the moment when I truly felt that this is where I needed to be and that I was called to serve God. One day, you are going to know your path to travel.
I hope God leads me into a religious path and a religious vocation, just like he did for you and Mother. Me too.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to strive for, and time will tell if it's in God's will. However, I think you've been with me long enough, and they're going to require your services up at St. Joseph's. So you best hurry along, and thank you for helping me knead the dough.
Thank you, sister.
Hi, I'm Lisa. You might remember me from our previous programming, The Black Cap and Tea with Mother Seton's Daughter. I'm a living history interpreter here. I'm a mentor for their junior history program, and I also do research for our programs.
Hi, I'm Connie, and I have been a docent here for the past 10 years. I've played Sister Sally for, I guess, 3 years now, and I do love her. I feel like she's very much a part of me. I taught at Mother Seton for my last 8 years of teaching, and I'm working with the JHI program that we have in process here.
Thank you, Connie and Lisa. Hello again, everyone. This is Claire, and we are going to begin our question and answer portion of the program. As a reminder, we are accepting questions written in the comments, and I will get to as many as I can that are relevant to today's topic. Speaking of which, Connie and Lisa, we do have our first question. Where did the sisters get the water for baking and the laundry, and how much laundry did they have to do?
Well, Tom's Creek is right outside on our campus here, and this house was right on Tom's Creek. It was moved later on, however, it was very close for them to be able to get the water at Tom's Creek, and that's what they used for their washing and their cooking.
So we know that by early 1811 there were 45 people here. There were 30 boarders and 15 sisters. And we know that through Mother Seton's 11 and a half years here, there were over 400 boarders that passed through here, passed through the academy. So at any given time, they could have been doing laundry for over 100 people. It was hard work. I mean, there was a sister that had come here from Baltimore, and after a few weeks of being here and having to do the laundry and kneading the bread, she decided that she was going to walk home to Baltimore, and she put her boots on and was ready to go. And Father Dubois talked her into staying, and she never left, thankfully. But it was really hard work, and I think it was life-changing for them.
Yes, that wasn't me. It wasn't Sister Sally Thompson.
We do have a similar question. How many people were they cooking for?
So this would have been around the same amount that they did laundry for, the boarders and the sisters that lived here, with the exception that Mother Seton was always concerned that the orphans would get enough to eat. In fact, a few hours before she died, she had asked a sister, did the students at the free school have dinner? Were they getting enough to eat? And if they needed dinner, to make sure they got it before they went home. So that was a concern of hers. So I would say around the same thing, that any given day it could have been 100 to 150 people that they were feeding.
Our next question is, why was Sister Sally wearing a white cap and not a black cap like we saw in one of the earlier live stream events?
So we have references that the sisters were wearing the black cap as early as 1809, but we also have references that they were wearing a white cap. So there's nothing that clearly tells us why they wore the white cap. I have seen a footnote that kind of makes me believe that it was the novitiates that might have worn the white cap, but it could have been something they also wore inside when they were doing their chores.
I did hear one story where they did begin wearing the white caps, and then the caps were being soiled, washing them in Tom's Creek, and so they switched over to black.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but that is something that I had read.
Yeah, and it makes sense, I think.
Mm-hmm, it does.
So our next question is, what happened to Sister Sally?
Well, I was here from the onset of the community beginning. I was here even before Mother Seton, of course, because I was born and bred here. And when she arrived here, I was very anxious for her to get here. I was here my whole life. I spent my whole adult life here until 1850, and that's when I passed away. However, all of the important events, small or large, Sister Sally was a part of. So she was like that thread running through the community, that she was always, you could depend on her, and she was always there for you.
So I think that is something important about Sister Sally that we should recognize, that she was here at the beginning of the order in 1809. Mm-hmm. She was here all the way up until they became daughters, really, when she passed away. So she was here the entire time they were Sisters of Charity. Like Connie said, she is listed as being part of every important event. And so we don't have any letters or journals of hers, but so Connie interprets Sally the way that she thinks that she would have reacted during these events.
Yes, it's frustrating at times because I'd like to know more, so sometimes I have to invent things.
Cheryl wants to know, who were the children portraying?
So the girls that we had today are part of our junior history interpreter program. That was actually started by Bridget Bassler, who works here, and it is a really amazing program. We take these girls who volunteer and we teach them how to be students during Mother Seton's time. And so through workshops and lessons, they learn how to portray actual students that were here. And so, for example, the penmanship is one of the workshops. It's more than just teaching calligraphy. It is teaching why writing, why learning to read was so important to Mother Seton, why she wanted to teach these children. And so they learn that, and then they do research on their own characters. So today we had Kat Walters, who was a family that lived here in Emmitsburg, and we have Jane Fox, who was from New York. And her father, Robert Fox, actually helped the sisters get established in New York.
So Anne has a related question. She said, do the students help with the chores?
So the boarders, being from very wealthy families, probably would not have helped with the chores. The free school students might have. It would have been part of maybe kind of helping out with payment for the classes that they would have been taking. But yes, they would have learned how to do household chores, because Mother Seton also thought that that was important. It was a different world then, so girls would have grown up needing to know how to do certain chores. And so she really felt like she was helping them by teaching them how to do those chores correctly.
So our next question is, who were the first sisters and what happened to them?
So those first 6 sisters that we talk about are Cecilia O'Conway, Maria Burke, Kitty Mullen, Susan Clossy, Mary Ann Butler, and Rose White. So Maria Burke was the first one to pass away. She died in 1812. Kitty Mullen actually died on Christmas Day in 1815. Mary Ann Butler, who wrote music, actually, and some of it was published, died 10 days after Mother Seton. Susan Clossy became sister servant in Philadelphia, and then after Mother Seton passed away in New York, and she comes back here and dies in 1823. Sister Rose White became Mother Superior after Mother Seton's death for 6 years, and then she was missioned out for 6 years, and then she was back here again. And so she dies here in 1841. Cecilia O'Conway actually left shortly after Mother Seton's death and became an Ursuline. She stayed friendly with some of the Sisters of Charity, and she wrote many years later that she had such admiration for the Sisters of Charity, that they needed to be compassionate and have empathy, but they also needed to be, I guess, stoic in a way. And she couldn't do that. She could have empathy and be compassionate, but she had a hard time holding back the tears, she said, when she was helping the people, the poor, and people that needed her help. And so she really had a lot of admiration for the sisters that she left behind.
So that goes into our next question about how did the arrival to Emmitsburg by Mother Seton and those first sisters take place? Did they all arrive at once?
No, they didn't. Mother Seton needed to get here sooner than later because her sister-in-law was very ill, and the doctor felt that she needed to get into the country and out of the city. And so Sister set forth, and others came afterwards. Do you want to tell them exactly?
So yeah, so she's correct that Mother Seton left on June 21st with a small group of them. She had her oldest daughter and her sister-in-laws with her. 2 weeks later, her daughters Catherine and Rebecca joined her, and then by the end of July, they are all here, including Mother Seton's sons, William and Richard. They did have quite an adventure on the way here. Mother Seton's group ended up walking most of the way, and like I said previously, it's about 60 miles.
So our last question for the day was, what was their diet like when they first arrived?
So you would think, coming here in the country, that they would have had a rough start, but I think with the townspeople and Father Dubois from the Mount, they were able to get things up and going. They had apple trees here, they planted a garden, they had chickens. Mother Seton writes by the beginning of 1810 that she was quite spoiled because she had butter and cream and eggs and vegetables and bread, of course, and carrot coffee, which is basically like hot carrot water. And they would make a variety of breads. They had rye bread, they had sweet rolls, gingerbread. So they ate well, although you know, they restricted their diet to just their 3 meals a day. So that was our last question. So thank you for joining us today. If you would like to learn more about Sister Sally or the sisters that came with Mother Seton, we use today for our research the numerous choirs. It's a 2-volume set, which you can get in our gift shop or on our online. We also use the memoirs, letters, and journals of Robert Seton. He was Mother Seton's grandson. But I would also encourage you to keep tuning in. We have so much more that we want to share with you. We look forward to seeing you at our next live stream. Thank you.
Thank you.